Welcome everybody back here at Veil of Sound. And this time we have a few firsts and 1 second. First of all, I want to congratulate our new writer, Kurt Arsek, for joining us here on the show. So it's, I think, 4 years that since I had a companion interviewer with me. And the first thing here, or the premiere, is being a teacher, I would never have thought that I would be interviewing a former student of mine. But life is full of surprises, so I'm very, very happy to have Nikita Kamprad from Der Weg einer Freiheit here on the show. So, guys, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too, Thorsten. That's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. 20 years ago, you wouldn't have said that. Nikita, we always start our interviews here at Veil of Sound with the regular question, which kind of band, record, or project would you like to plug that is not Der Weg einer Freiheit? I'll give you a moment to think about it, and also for Kurt to think about something that he would like to plug, like the last record we listened to or the last band we like. My plug of the day is the wonderful Black Gaze of Unrequited.
Good.
So, Nikita, you already got something?
Yeah. I actually saw just another interview with you with Amenra, with Colin, just today, just to be prepared, and I saw the exact question. So I wanted to bring in the band Sleep Token, and that is might be surprising for some people, and I know there is plenty of hate going on in the internet against this band because of the hype, because of the image of the band, and but all in all, I just can say that their new album, it just touches me, and especially the singer's voice. It's unique. I think, just in my opinion, you can pick or you can hear out this voice in a million, and that's a very unique skill or characteristics of a band and of a musician, and that is, I have plenty of respect for that. And being a band that can like explode in just I don't know 5 or 6 years from nothing to there, that's impressive. And the album is just good. In my opinion.
And I think, there are two things that everybody should respect about Sleep Token. First of all, they're bringing young music back again to guitar-driven. They're bringing young fans back to guitar-driven music. And second of all, being able to pull off this anonymity thing for so long. Not even Ghost were able to do that.
Yeah.
So, Kurt, your plug.
Crazy. Yeah, I was going to say, how long did Papa Emeritus go before he was identified? Was it like 3 years maybe or something? Or
something like that.
Something like that, yeah. It is impressive with the anonymity. And I'm also thinking of, is it Gaira from Spain?
Portugal.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands the last few years. In fact, I thought I had their album last year as my favorite of the year. But anyway, right now, well, the obvious answer, I guess, the kind of mainstream response would be the new Armed record. It's fantastic, and it's a record that's hard not to like, even if you're not into metal. It's a really great hard rock record. But actually, the album that I've been listening to the last week that really took me off guard is it's kind of hard to explain. I won't tell the whole story, but it is by a band called Whipping Boy, and they are still around. But
no, they're not. It's just a reissue.
Well, that's what I thought. That's what I thought first. But I interviewed Eugene Robinson 2 days ago. Eugene from Oxbow, and Oxbow broke up last year. And I said that. I said, so why did Whipping Boy break up? And he said, we've never broken up. We're still around. So I know. He might just be playing with me. But
the thing is, he now is in Spain and they're still in the US. That's the problem.
Yeah, he just moved.
I see, Thorsten, you know everything.
No, it's just the way with Eugene. It's I met Eugene 3 years ago, and he came off stage and he was in a very shitty mood. And I don't know how, but I somehow must have picked the right buttons. And ever since then, it's like,
yeah, he's like that. Yeah,
and once you get to below that sarcasm level, then he's the sweetest guy.
Yeah. We had an 80-minute conversation the other day. And
yeah, and he likes to talk.
Yeah, and I was on his news. He had this newsletter for a while. I don't know. Were you ever on that? Yeah. Anyway, but the sound quality, they remixed that Whipping Boy material from, I think it's probably been 40 years. I think
Something like that.
It just sounds spectacular, and it kind of reminded me of like a whole new guitar sound I'd never heard before, like when I first heard Big Black or something like that. It was terrific stuff. Anyway, that's my
it's the original recordings were around the time of Big Black. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. My goodness. That's even a record where I can say I wasn't around when it was released. But we don't want to stray into old guys talking about the war. Nikita, let's talk about the new record. I mean, first of all, congratulations. I think it's once again a really amazing feat that you guys put on there. And I think, Kurt and I differentiated a little bit. He will concentrate a little bit more on the music and writing process. I, of course, will talk a little bit more about the lyrics. But I have one question that has been on my mind ever since I first heard the name Der Weg, einer, Freiheit. And that is, like, it has some kind of cant to it, is the way to one's own freedom always, or should the way to one's own freedom always be the path to the freedom of everybody else? Why einer Freiheit? Is there more than one?
Yeah, definitely, because we are humans. Everyone is different, and so no, there is not a particular Freiheit, freedom, or let's say a fulfillment in life. But maybe this term works better. Actually, what I want to say with the band's name, and I, in particular, chose in German you say unbestimmter Artikel.
Yeah, indefinite article.
Because indefinite, it's not definite. You can't define a person's own freedom. That's the main reason behind it. There are so many ways. For me, this way was music, writing, lyrics, to express my inner self, my person, basically, and find a meaning and find fulfillment in it. For any other person, it can be completely different. The only thing, how to find it. That's the question mostly.
So is the band still nowadays your way of coping with all the shit going on around us?
Yeah, simply put, it's exactly like that, especially on the new album. With all the turbulence we have in the world, you look at every corner, there's something that can take your eyes for hours. Like, I can't deny being a phone guy as well as probably every one of us. Like Instagram, the social medias, they're like the most toxic thing I think we can have in the world today. And the people in power or the companies in power, they just drain our attention on the phone, on the things we actually don't want to see that hurt us. And with Innern, I wanted to find a way, firstly for myself, but hopefully also for other people that are listening to the music and reading the lyrics, to find a way again to the little thing that is inside of all of us, and that's a main part of the lyrics, for example, from the song Shibalba, that there's this thing inside of all of us that tells us, this inner voice, go on, move on, it will be fine, and just take care that this thing doesn't die at all, which is in our times sometimes very hard to find, to come back to this, to reconnect yourself. But that's the whole like image and theme of the album, and that is also the reason why it's called Innern, because with this album, Innern is seen as a verb. Like it can also be seen as a noun, but in our world, it's rather seen as a verb, because with the music, with the album, with these songs, we try to refocus, realign, concentrate ourselves to what's inside, to what's important.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's something about that. Kurt, you want to jump in when he already talks about the music?
I'm fascinated by what I just heard, and I'm curious about the distinction you're making between noun and verb, and I'm wondering if I'm understanding the concept correctly here. Is the freedom you're talking about something that has to be exercised in order to be of use? In other words, it's not a static thing that can be achieved, but it's something that has to be constantly used and exercised in order for it to stay strong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think I have the strong opinion that the meaning of life for yourself, or fulfillment in life, is not a goal you achieve. It's a process. Like, and you can work on it. It's like, as you say, it's not an achievement. It's something you can always, every day work on. And it can be, for example, just an example, doing sports. Many people find calmness and energy in doing sports, for example. That's also what I do since a couple of months now, like put a very hard discipline on myself, because I know it's good for me. There are some tools, or meditating, some tools you can just integrate in your daily life that can make you, it's a strange term, but a better person, or at least you yourself can feel better with it. Instead of doing nothing, just consume all the shit that is out there. Just remember, you are the one that has the power to change it.
Yeah.
Very interesting that you say that, because I also have a feeling when looking at the lyrics, there is also a amount of uncertainty about it, about insecurity, about, okay, how much can we do? Because, very often you use words like the stars, the mother of the stars, the light, you're using the term or the name Helia, which is a female form of Helios, at least the way I remember it.
Yeah.
So it seems as if there is always some kind of looking up for help, looking up for guidance. So when you say it's our path to become a better person for us, but it's not a path and a process that you have to go alone, don't you?
No, not at all. Seeking help from others, for example, is, well, actually the most intuitive thing you can think about. Just expressing your thoughts, your fears, your anxiety to someone else can be very helpful and relieving. And that is also, for example, the main subject of the first song, Marta, which is about sharing, Marta, torment, sharing your fears about something with others, to be able to have a connection between us humans and to collectively improve, basically.
It's fascinating because some of the angles you guys are talking about freedom are antithetical to what I hear as an American all the time. There's a author who's really popular right now called Timothy Snyder. He's actually a philosopher, but he wrote this book called On Tyranny a few years ago that everybody's reading right now, and he argues that the concept of freedom is not freedom from something, but freedom to do something. And it's an important distinction that he makes. And the way that you guys are talking about sort of a collective freedom, here in the States, we often talk about personal freedom. This is mine. You can't take mine. You can't take my freedom away. You can't take my guns away. What have you. But it seems like the notion of reveling in freedom at like a concert, for example, is it seems that's special. It must be it also speaks to the camaraderie that people feel when they're enjoying a show together, I would think.
Definitely. Like back to Amenra, for example, when we've been on tour with them, they have a huge energy in the room with the audience. That's incredible, and that's the trademark of the band, basically. That was very inspiring for me, to be honest. And this band draws so many people in one place. It seems like everyone is suffering, but everyone goes out from this like as a new person, as a better person, and that's a cool thing.
Yeah, and they also have Amenra also have something that I like to call the Amenra moment. They are able to turn a huge group of people into one collective being, because there is always, at every Amenra concert that I've seen, there is this one moment which lasts for about like 30, 50, maybe 60 seconds, where everybody in the room is doing the exact same motion at exact the same time, and it's like a wave. And I'm always standing there. I'm more than impressed about that. So I understand that. Nikita, coming back to the lyrics for some of your songs, and especially one that I would like to quote, there also seems to be a certain insecurity about one's own place. And I quote you because you've written, "Wurde ich wahrhaftig geboren in diese Welt, oder war ich schon immer da?" Which is translated into, was I truly born into this world, or have I ever been here forevermore? For me, it quickly connected to the idea of memory loss. Is there something about that?
Not really. It's rather like the eternal circle of life. When did we as a human, when did we emerge actually, and when will we disappear again? And at some point we will disappear from this earth again. Earth don't give a shit if we are there or not, actually. And sometimes this, if you zoom out very far away, looking from the creation of the universe until now, you always refer to this clock, basically, that we are just a second or something like that. And that sometimes is like crazy to think about. And this line, in a way, emerged from that kind of image. We have always been here, or I have always been here, but maybe just in another form, or maybe energy or something like that. Everyone knows what happens when we die with our physical body. It goes straight back to like the elements of the earth. Either if we get burned, the ashes will fly away, or if we get buried, we will get eaten by the worms and get back into the soil and stuff like that. It's all very physical. So it's a huge circle of life, as I said, and this is kind of the idea behind that.
You clearly haven't seen many zombie movies, Nikita.
Believe me, I know Nikita from way back. He has.
Yes, I did.
Nikita, I'm again fascinated by the conversation you guys are having about the themes and the subject matter. Are these ideas and concepts that you had been stewing on for a while, Nikita, and eventually it felt like time to bring them to fruition on an album? Or it is more of a situation where you complete one of your records and then you do some reading or some research and then find new terrain, new ideas to explore?
Yeah, I'm pretty honest and open here. The lyrics are not really connected to a specific album mostly, or it's hard to say that, but honestly, some of the lyrics can even be changed to another song and would make sense as well. Mostly I just put on the song and write down words, phrases, sentences that just come to my mind when listening to the song. And of course, I have some over like the 4 years between two albums. I have lists or documents or notebooks that contain sentences I heard or I come across that I use as inspirations. So sometimes I have the list open and write down things and it all comes together. It's not like that there's a preconcept before I start writing, basically. That never been like that. I'm not really reading that much, to be honest. The phase where I was more reading was during the Finisterre album, which has been heavily influenced by Hermann Hesse, the German author, and especially by his book, The Steppenwolf. I talked about that in previous interviews a lot because I really enjoyed that. And but apart from that, there's not so much books or movies or anything. It's rather like the daily life I consume that writes the lyrics and is the inspiration.
That might be the worst advertisement for your hometown of Wuerzburg ever.
Why?
Come on, guy. You're not making happy-go-lucky, but I know what you mean.
If that would be the inspiration, I would be doing happy pop music probably, because it's so beautiful here.
It is. It's a wonderful location, but sometimes I have the feeling as if people just don't appreciate it enough. I've met so many grumpy people in Wuerzburg, but I have to agree, many of them were connected to my job as a teacher, and parents usually are not happy when they meet a teacher. I have to admit that. Nikita, there is something when you say like writing the lyrics or noting down simple things. On this record, there is an English-speaking track, which is a rather unusual thing for Deafheaven and Freiheit. Was it important for you to deliver this track in English?
There's kind of story I can tell around the song Forlorn, which you're talking about. The lyrics are not written by me, but by our guitarist Nico. And after I finished the first 4 tracks for the album and this piano interlude, which is like the bridge between the second to last song and the last song, Forlorn, I was like telling the other guys, hey, I'm actually done. I have said everything that I can say on the album. And I talked to Nico because we had the conversation about maybe it would be cool to do a song together. And for this song, Forlorn, we tried that. I just gave him a very short, like the song starts with this intro with this natural harmonics on an acoustic guitar. I recorded that on a phone and sent it over to him. And actually this exact phone voice memo recording ended up as the loop of the song and as the basic structure of the whole intro and beyond. And Nico was inspired by that and wrote the lyrics and wrote most of the song, sent it to me. We refined it. I put on my magic. And it just turned out to be an English song because he's just more confident and it feels more natural for him to write in English. But it's not a completely new thing because we had 2 English songs on Nocturne already with Immortal and Haven. These were written by me. And we received a lot of good feedback actually by that, because that was an experiment. Firstly, for me, if I'm comfortable singing in English or writing in English as well, because I never did it before. And it turned out that it felt natural, it felt good, so we proceeded, and what came out is Forlorn now. A very special song.
With Nocturne, the previous album, was there a part of the record or a seed that you really glommed onto while making that album, but found that you didn't have the space to expand upon it, and then you brought it to this new record and explored it more deeply? Was there anything that kind of led from Nocturne to this record?
Yeah, I would say definitely the synths that I used on the new album, which they're not in the focus, but rather in the background. But I really think they added a really nice new texture to the sound, and especially the clean vocals that I had on Nocturne. I mean, I always, since I was singing in the band, which was since 2013, on the album Stellar, Finisterre, and Nocturne, I experimented a lot with my voice, and on the new album, I think just for myself, I made a huge step somewhere. I don't know if to the better or people will talk about that probably. But for me, I did a lot of things that were not in my comfort zone, and like the throat singing, or this clean, harsh mixture vocals in the end of the song Ears. But it all came from Nocturne, where I started with Immortal, with especially Haven, experimenting with this kind of new vocals. And yeah, it feels strange, and the others also told me, wow, there's a lot of things going on, but still, if it wouldn't have felt natural for me, I wouldn't have done it. So I felt good, so let's do it. And if you don't do it now, when you will do it ever? So now's the time.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Kurt, you go on. No, you go on.
Oh, I was going to say, do you feel like that added a different dimension to your overall sound, or the entity that is your band?
The vocals, or
the experimentation, the new approach you took, or the sort of going out on a limb with some different techniques.
Yeah, I think it's very important just to play, to experiment, to sometimes even let the random things happen and be your songwriting companion, so to say. That's very important, because new things can come out from that, cool new things. And that was for me the use of synth. I mean, I switched through all the presets I had and played something along to the song, and it suddenly sounded great and brought an extremely new vibe to the song, especially, for example, in the beginning of the album, the intro of the song Martyr, where it's a huge build up with synths, with a very wavy detuned style, and yeah, that came out of experimenting. So I always encourage people or fellow musicians and bands just to try out things. You never know what happens. Actually, the very song I was talking about, Marta, it starts with this one, but heavily distorted and delayed and reverbed and everything. Ah, nice.
Well, I'm not gonna go downstairs in the basement and get my Christmas cards, guys. Forget it. Nikita, you've been talking about the singing, and here I'm going to pick up on one of the questions that Kurt noted down for us. When you are performing, you've already said it, like doing clean vocals is like a new thing for you, or like concentrating on them. Which kind of vocals are you most sure and secure about? The screaming, the clean vocals, the throat singing, which one feels most comfortable to you?
Definitely at this point of time, the harsh vocals or screams. I think I found my technique after, I don't know, 10 years of constant playing shows, rehearsals. And now that I'm having my studio here, I can just shut the door, close the windows, be sure no one hears me, no one sees me. That is somehow important for me. To try out new things. And I think with the harsh vocals, I found my kind of technique, which is very natural, and I feel so good when doing it. It might sound funny, but it really feels good. Second would be actually the throat singing, which comes out very natural. I tried that at some sound checks and here and there, and all the other guys always looked at me, what are you doing there? And it was
it sounds like Nine Treasures.
But it's, I mean, there's not a huge range I can do that. It's always one tone, or maybe one half tone up and down. And luckily on the song EOS, it just hit the right tone. I was happy about that. But the clean vocals are, to end this, clean vocals are still something I really work on almost every day. I feel confident in a way, but there's plenty of room to improve, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see why you say you like to be unobserved by others when you are doing that. It's a very different approach from what Rollo Tomasi did when they learned how to scream and shout and all that stuff. If anybody wants to know, look at our interview with James from December. It's a very funny story. I have a question. You've said experimenting and doing new things is important for you as a band, and you tell other musicians. Do you also tell that other musicians when you are recording them, when you basically the engineer behind it?
That's tricky because studio time is always limited. It costs the bands a lot of money. So if you're a very good musician, you know, like your techniques, or on the drums, or as a vocalist, of course, also. If you know what you're doing and you can just perform as you get it thrown to you. Like if I say, do it like that, and the guy or the girl does it, and it turns out to be good, then all fine. But mostly the band prepares for the studio session exactly how they want to play it, how they used to play it in the rehearsal room at the live shows. If you're coming to them, hey, throw away your guitar, take this one instead, and put another string gauge on it and another amp, and suddenly the person can't play anymore. That's kind of tricky. So you always have to find a compromise. Is the band also open enough, like mentally? Is the band actually able to perform? And if they are just used to their stuff and it sounds great, of course, I'm the last person to tell them to do something different. It always depends.
But have you already really come to a point where you've told the band, like, I like what you're doing, but that would be much better?
Yeah, sometimes, of course, I tell the band. I always try to find out at the beginning of a session, for example, or even in calls before a production where you get to know each other. I try to find that out, how open a band is towards input. Some bands really ask you for input, and that is important for them, and I'm always happy to do that then. But some bands, either I know that after getting to know them, or during the first few days, I find out that, I tell them 3 things, but all of the 3 things are like in the moment I tell them, for example, no, that's not cool. Without,
you mean when they disregard your advice?
Yeah, disregard, sometimes even without a reason, which is fine, because if you are focused on the studio session, no problem. I'm the last person, as I said, who is like insists of doing it my way or something like that. So that's fine. It's always a process you have to find out.
Was there one specific point of contention that stood out above the rest in terms of, direction or ideas that you were wanting to bring to the record? Was it the sense maybe or something else?
Again,
you mean for the new record, right?
Yeah, with the new record. Was there one specific aspect of creating this new record where there was a bit of an impasse with the other members, or something that stood out as having to be discussed more than maybe some other topics that came up?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
It's already far away, actually. When I first wrote the first song was in late summer 2023, almost 2 years. No, I really can't remember. Basically, what I did with the album the first time actually was to write the basic structure of a song within a most limited time frame that is available, which is mostly was a 1 day for me. I went to the studio, started in the morning, and in the evening had the very basic structure, like with kind of very simple riffing or something like that, but to get the idea of the whole song, which was important. And then I sent it to the others, and of course there was sometimes they said like immediately it catches you, and that's a good sign, of course. But on the other hand, there were song ideas that were discarded because no one, and myself maybe as well, it didn't really catch anyone like in the first beginning. And I tried to get that feedback sometimes from the other guys.
Yeah. When you
to make it clear, I have to quickly jump in here. So when you say you wrote down the basic structure of a track, I mean, like there are some pretty long tracks on the new record. You only got the structure. You didn't get the whole 7, 8, 9 minute track, right?
Yes, actually, yes.
Wow.
Because I think it's important to always look at the whole song. And I didn't plan the first 2 tracks on the album being 10-minute songs. But for example, the ending of Xibalba, it's the very same riff for 3 minutes, I think. And of course, I copy pasted that. Like I recorded the basic idea and the lead guitar and the drum beat, and then just copy pasted, like did some variations on the drums, and that was it. That particular part that took me, I don't know, 1 hour maybe to finalize in the very initial state. So it's not impossible to have the full songs ready. But as I said, it's very basic. It's no details. All the details were written afterwards, and that took a lot of time, to be honest.
Yeah. Along with that, the approach you took to creating these songs, and I'm blown away that you were able to kind of create the structure of some of these in just 1 day. Was there a substantial amount of work, maybe even more than on previous records, when it came to production and mastering and all of that? Did a lot of work have to go into the back end of it?
Luckily, the extreme opposite. The thing was with this album, we, if you count in the songwriting and the preparations for each musician, band member to be ready for the final recordings, if you count in all this time, which is basically part of the production, we have been working on the record for 1.5 years, almost straight. Especially for a drummer, Tobias, who had the hardest job, I think. He was.
But who really shined on this record, I have to say.
Oh yeah. Also in my impression, and all this work before the final recordings, the preparations were so important for us to be able to fully focus on our performance, to record every song in one take. That was important. The goal of us. We learned from the Nocturne production that it totally makes sense for our band and our music to have the focus not on part by part. It works for other bands, and we did it in the past, of course. But the songs even got better and improved by looking at the whole song and recording them in full takes. And that's what we did with every instrument and also with the vocals. And as you said, with the post-production, mixing, mastering, when you already take care at the recording stage to have everything settled, actually, I mean, maybe I'm leaning myself too far out of the window. Is that the same?
I think it's the same. Yeah, it's the same medium in English. Yeah.
We have it in German, but we could do this recording on an analog tape without so much automation in the mix, and it would not sound so much different. I mean, of course, I used plugins, I used digital tools, EQing, compression, everything. But again, I also put myself a limit somewhere. I didn't want to over-process things, especially my voice and Tobias' drums, because if you start to over-compress, over-edit, you lose everything you have worked for in the process before. As I said, we worked a lot to be there at the best we can do. So why actually destroying it afterwards by editing, by over EQing the guitars and having them sound dull in the end? So that was the approach.
I imagine also that retaining that immediacy of when you were creating the songs in the first place, that's something that you also want to preserve, so that when you play them live, it has that intensity as well, right?
Definitely, yeah. That's a plus, basically. If we can already play the song almost perfectly, of course there happens always mistakes, and you can still swap them in the recording with a better version. But if you're already prepared almost perfectly for the studio recordings, of course it will benefit your live show.
Yeah. Are you thinking all the time when you're recording a record about how you're going to be performing it live and how it's going to go over with the crowd, or are you able to divorce that from your mind at certain points when you're writing?
Yeah, I kind of can say for myself that each time I sing into a microphone, for example, for recordings, for rehearsals or something, I mostly close my eyes, and I always imagine singing for an audience, basically. That plays always a very important role for me, to have this kind of, already at the songwriting, at the recording stage, to have this impression in mind, at least.
That's pretty cool. So you almost can feel the presence of the audience in the room, in the recording studio.
Yeah.
With sense.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, I have to say, having seen Der Weg einer Freiheit twice by now, I can definitely vouch for the fact that even though, of course, it sounds perfectly delivered, and even though it's very close to what you listen to on the record, but there is still a certain extra amount of oomph when you watch the guys perform. That's definitely something that
that's the magic of live. I think it's always there.
Well, I mean, like, we all know bands which sound exactly the same on stage as on record. Green Theater. Seen them once, will never do it again, because then I can spare me the $50 and you can just buy another Der Weg einer Freiheit record. You've mentioned the preparation that went into all the record, also for you and for Tobias. Do you have any kind of feedback how it was for your new bass player?
Oh, he definitely also had a hard job, to be honest. Maybe to clear some things up, because we didn't do like a very detailed story of what happened. Nothing bad, so don't be afraid. But the
No
reason
gossip?
why, no gossip, no. But I can still clear some things up, and I have to, I think. Because on our tour 2023 with Igor and Amenra, our up to that date playing bass player Nico Ziska, he was informed by his girlfriend that he's becoming a father like in November. The tour was in March, and he was like, yeah, cool. But whoa, that's how he told us on the very day. And we finished the tour with him. And on this tour, we already had Alan, our new bass player now, filling in for our other Nico, who's playing guitar on the second half of the tour. Alan was playing for Nico then, and we knew Alan for a couple of years now, and we knew this is the right guy. After this message, Nico becomes a father, and the child was born. Everyone was super happy. Everything was very fine. He then in the progress of the next months, he then realized that yes, it's a huge amount of work. I think Thorsten, you know.
I do.
And it
doesn't go away.
Another life, basically. Of course, having its positive sides, but it was about time to realign the priorities, I think. And one of the priorities that have been the band, der Weg einer Freiheit for him, was now like going down a little bit in the list. And that is very fine, because that happens, and that we are all persons that have a private life. So we are a band that talks very transparently about things like that. So he came up to us saying, hey guys, it's hard for me, but I have to take a step back, at least for live shows in 2025 and beyond, and probably also for the recordings of the album. And when the recordings approached, like half a year before the recordings, the songs were all written and pre-produced. We had another call, and then it was clear, no, he can't do the recordings. And we had to find a quick solution, of course, or the quickest solution would be that I play the bass, because I also wrote it, and it would be easy. But I don't want to play the bass actually in the band, or I don't want to have the responsibility to have even more to do besides guitars, vocals, and producing the album. So, of course, we asked
Alan. It would be a solo record.
Yeah, and we had that in the past. I don't want to do it again. Of course, we asked Alan, and he was, of course, I'm in. That's a huge honor for him, he said. And we were happy to have a solution here. And, it was just half a year or something like that. Of course, he knew the songs already, but he has never played the bass before. So what he has done, and he's just one of the craziest persons I know in terms of learning new instruments, new songs, and everything. He did it. He learned, I don't know, one track each month, sent me a video playthrough, one take playthrough for each song. We talked about it. The playthroughs already were perfect, basically. There were just a few things. And then he also was ready for the final recordings that were on early 2025 now. 25.
Wow. Sounds like a workaholic.
Indeed.
Kurt, you wanted to say something?
I was gonna. Do we have time for like maybe one or two more questions, or how are we?
Sure.
You get one more, and I get one more.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Sort of a generic question, I admit, but I do like to ask bands this because I find the answers always come out quite differently. What do you feel like you learned about your band through the creation of this record? For example, was it the knowledge that you are adaptable if a band member has to step out, or was there something else that you maybe came to realize about your project that you weren't aware of before?
I have always been aware of that, but not that much, to be honest. And that came with the new record. That I'm super happy and very grateful to have my bandmates as my best friends and people that I can 100% rely on. That is very important. You see so many bands out there who are, I don't know, not talking transparently, for example, or lacks of communication lead to breakups, to, I don't know, talking about each other's back, and that's something we don't have, and I'm so proud and happy about that. And just this album showed that again.
Awesome.
So my last question is a little bit more difficult, and I will take time phrasing it. I mean, like, apart from the fact that, of course, you have lyrics on your record, but you're using a language that, let's be straightforward, 99% of all people worldwide don't understand. That, of course, leads to other people interpreting and thinking of your songs in a very individual, very personal way. Have you ever come across an interpretation of one of your tracks from somebody from a different country, a different cultural background, or, maybe both even, where you said, like, okay, I'm sorry, I like the fact that you sat down and interpreted my song, but that's just totally wrong? I'll give you an example while you think, for everybody outside. Nikita on one of the album tracks uses the term "die Angst, sie frisst die Seele auf." The old German guy in me automatically connected it to an old German movie which says "Angst essen Seele auf," and I'm very sure most people outside of Germany will never make that connection. So, have you ever come across an interpretation where it's like, dude, no?
To be honest, I really can't think about that now. There's nothing coming to my mind. But of course, I often, I don't use school language in my lyrics. I often use some crazy things from my head, like also sentences that you have 3 lines of sentences, and the first one makes sense with the second one, and the second one makes sense with the third one.
Yeah, but
if you read it all 3 together, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So who the hell who doesn't understand German could, understand that?
Yeah.
Maybe that's an example, but there's no person who ever came to me like misinterpreting it completely.
So you've never had the "every breath you take is a love song" interpretation, which it's not.
No, I don't.
Okay, think so. Cool. So Nikita, as you've mentioned that you've seen one of our interviews already, you know what comes at the end of every Veil of Sound interview, the quickfire round. And this time, Kurt and I prepared 3 combos each. We'll take turns. And Kurt, why don't you start with your first combo that Nikita has to choose from?
Yeah. So I guess I'll start off with the Dillinger Escape Plan versus Cryptopsy.
Dillinger.
Yeah.
Can you say why?
Oh, because every time I hear or I read about or hear Dillinger Escape Plan, there's one very, very famous video from them playing a show in a Virgin Mega store. I think the video is called like that. And the band goes off and the singer just walks over the heads of the audience, and that's crazy.
Yeah. And I've seen him do it live. Greg is a crazy beast. Yes. So my first one, Ghost Bath versus Life Lover.
For me or for Kurt?
No, you only get the answers. We don't have to choose. You're the famous guy who is tormented here.
Okay. I must say that I didn't really listen to Ghost Bath ever. To be very honest, I listened to a little bit of Live Level very back in the day. I even can't remember how they sound, but I would pick Live Lover because,
has that ever been
more of a history?
Has it ever been one of the not go-to black metal sites of the scene? You know, this DSBM stuff.
They're not where I.
Yeah, generally, I mean, both fall into DSBM, right? So like depressive, suicidal black metal. Has it ever been something where it's like, not really my cup of tea?
Nope. Actually, there is one band that I haven't heard of them since 20 years or something like that, but I listened to Nostalgia back in the day very, very, very much. Don't know anything about the band, but that kind of in a very early stage when I started listening to black metal, I don't know why I came across this band, and they were called DSBM, and I really enjoyed it. I have to listen to them again somewhere, maybe on YouTube, but I don't find the albums on the platforms.
Kurt.
You took the wind out of my sails with the second one I was going to do because you professed your love for Sleep Token, so I'm going to adjust it if you don't mind. Heaven Shall Burn versus Caliban.
That's
Heaven
easy.
Shall Burn.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, because they have Christian Bass on drums, and he used to be our very first drummer who also re-recorded the drums for the first album. So
yeah, and there is another reason why everybody should always choose Heaven Shall Burn, where a singer doesn't have to wear 3 tons of makeup to every show. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, old man talking about the war right now. Ara from Switzerland versus Wiegedot from Belgium.
Oh, Wiegedot. I loved their first record when it came out. I saw them in Wuerzburg in my hometown. I think
then we were at the same show.
TNT festival. Was it this?
Yeah, something like that.
I think they even were jumping in for another band that canceled, and I was very happy about that. And that was just a wall of sound and crazy. And all the other albums they released are really top notch too. So yeah,
cool.
Kurt, your last one.
Yeah, last one. I'll kind of change the tone a little bit. Lady Gaga versus Madonna.
Lady Gaga, she's crazy.
You say that a woman who wore plastic bras for like
that's crazy.
a feet long. That's okay. My last one. And here I want to refer to something that many people forget. You also play the keys, at least a little bit. Olafur Arnolds versus Max Richter.
Olafur Arnolds. I have a history with one of his records. I think it's called Living Room Songs, if I'm not mistaken, where it's a very intimate recording. I hope it's the right one now, and I don't confuse him with another one. No,
I'll look it up while you explain.
Yeah, okay, do it. Living Room Songs. That's the EP. I think 4 songs or something like that, which is very intimate. You can hear like the breathing, the piano pedals, and I think he's with a violinist or cellist in the room, and it's just beautiful. And I listened to that a lot. I don't know, back in the day, 15 years ago, something like that.
14. Yes, you are right. It's Olafur Arnolds. It's 7 tracks, 23 something minutes. Yeah. 2011. Because I think that is something that you've mentioned, the synths, and I think that is something that a lot of people forget about Der Weg einer Freiheit. It's not just riffs. I think there is much more to it. For everybody, when you watch this on the day this is released, beginning of September, next week, Friday, or in 5 days, you can listen to the whole new record, Innern, out on Season of Mist. I, for myself, and I'm very sure Kurt will say the same, it's a very good listen. And I quote Kurt here because he wrote a joke in our notes, because he said it's definitely one of Der Weg einer Freiheit's 6th best studio album.
Thank you.
Oh, it's really good. So, Nikita, thanks for the time. Thanks for not telling any stories about me being a teacher. Final last words for you, Mr. Kamprad.
Oh, thank you. I really, really enjoyed this interview. It was not an interview. It was a very nice talk, I think, and I hope people out there appreciate that. Yeah, it was very in-depth. I think many things I didn't tell anyone before. And this one that didn't have an appearance yet. Won't have any other, I hope. Okay, yeah, thank you, Thorsten and Kurt. Thank you very much for letting me be here on your channel and talk.
Thanks for taking your time. Kurt, that was a good first. We should do it again.
Oh, I had such a blast and learned so much, and just this is a real standout interview for me. Thank you both for allowing me to participate. I really enjoyed speaking with each of you. So thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Nikita, see you on tour. I think Wiesbaden, right? You're gonna play, right? Cool. Yeah. See you around there.
Wiesbaden,
bye. See you, my friend. Bye.